You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV.
Hey! Welcome everybody to the Legend of Korra after show. And across the table, representing the element of Earth, is Liz Rishmawy. Well, too bad.
Dang it!
Earth came first in this.
But she's ginger.
But now representing fire with her fiery attitude apparently is Miss Katie Cullen.
I want to trade with Liz. So she's Earth on fire. We ruined it.
All right. Totally messed up the order. But do you want to be air then, Tauri?
I will be whatever you give me.
Then you are representing air, Tauri Miller.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm John Quick representing water. And in the booth is Mr. Stephen Lemieux.
He's hard.
Representing Frenchmen.
Yes.
Representing the normal people.
The only continent that doesn't attack people in this show.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been, we know that we're coming in a little bit late on all this, but we're going all the way back to the beginning of the season with episodes 1 and 2, Breath of Fresh Air and Rebirth. And in this book title changes, I'm just going to have to say, this very first episode, just in those first 5 minutes, we just saw like all of the changes. Like it just hit us like one right after another.
Mm-hmm. And they released those first 5 minutes online, I think a week or two before the series even premiered. It's like, see, this is what you're going to get. So we got the first 5 minutes, and it was like, oh, shoot, I got to watch this now.
And apparently, the original animated studios that did the original Avatar: The Last Airbender, I didn't know this, but a different studio had apparently picked up the animation for the first series of Legend of Korra. Am I saying this wrong?
No, it was actually in the second season. There's a lot that goes into like that. It's Studio Mir is back again and doing their stand-up job.
Yeah, and I mean it's beautiful. I mean just
yeah.
the first opening sequence with the little spirit. What's his name?
Boomju.
Yeah, Boomju. And just all the different artwork and everything that goes into it, I just made me so happy. I was like, yeah, it's back. And it's beautiful.
But like after we had that nice little recap, is like, in case you forgot, we reenacted Pacific Rim, and Republic City got covered in vines. Those vines are still there, and suddenly Boomy can airbend. What?
Yeah. Oh my god,
That
was
wasn't
so
part
funny.
of the recap.
So great.
But the whole scene, like the thing that I miss so much about this series in general is just the little humor and everything that goes into it, and just crawling onto the thing like, but I knit this sweater for you, and I know it's not that great. Okay, it was my first attempt, but I mean, you can try it on at least. Don't be mad at me. And then, oh god,
I'm almost out of tree.
God.
Can we go down now? Tree breaks.
And then he
Not what I
tries
planned.
to save him, and then. But he saves himself, and he's like, "That's still really, really hurt."
Like he airbends to keep himself from hitting the ground, stops airbending out of surprise, and then hits the ground. Face first. It's like, good job. Way to be, Boomy. Way to be. You are aptly named, sir.
And then segue into the next big thing, we see actually Tenzin, Jinora, and Korra walking through one of what they're calling the wilds now that are in the middle of Republic City where
And
the
you didn't
spirits
know
are
it was at first too. You thought, oh, where the hell are they? We're
in
go
the
back home to
spirit world.
Republic
Right.
City, and then they're just like, I don't think. And I thought that was a great cut, the way she's like, well, I don't think the rest of the people are going to be too happy about it. And then you open, and boom, they're right in the center of Republic City. So that was really cool.
I'm not quite sure what everyone expected, though. It's like, okay, we're going to open up the spirit world and things are no longer separate. But of course, they're going to stay exactly the same.
Well, that's
no.
Well, that's going on to the whole changes thing. A lot of changes that people don't like, and we're about ready to get right into how not happy seemingly everyone is with the entire situation.
I liked it though, because I feel like I'm just so sick of the people whining like in Republic City, just like no one's happy with what Korra's doing. It's very much not like when we had Aang in the first series, because everybody's like, oh my god, the Avatar, and then now it's like people hate the Avatar.
Well, the people are not in the middle of a war at the moment.
Yes,
Right.
but
So that as much as I hate to say that's what Aang had going for him, he did have this big overarching conflict to resolve, and the only people who would not have been happy to see him would have been the heads of the Fire Nation,
Right.
who we're not happy to see him. Korra doesn't have that big nation unifying, everyone's at war with the Fire Nation, please, for the love of God, just stop the war.
Yeah, but
she's
just
doing
saved
the best
entire
she
world
can.
from the darkness and the evil that would have overcome. I mean, that's something big.
Which is a problem that no one even knew was happening.
Exactly. As
The
far as they're
war was a global thing.
Yeah, as far as they're concerned, she brought it upon them. I mean, everyone was waiting for Aang at that time, and it was like he was the messiah of their war. But for her, it's just like everywhere that she goes, trouble follows. And so, I mean, it's hard to...
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like how she gives that nice little reminder to President Raiko. Oh, you know, when that big world-ending monstrosity of pure evil was marching straight towards you, should I have just, you know...
Should you go
sat
Let
back-
your administration take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
And then Lynn breaks them up because you can't fight like that in front of the press. That's a bad idea.
But then that wonderful little dinner scene happened with Boomy just trying to show everybody that he can airbend and just, like, not making it. And Bolin, I guess Bolin is going to settle into a new character role where he just gets to be, like, I guess the running commentary that the audience is doing, because he just sat down there and he just gave, it's like, I love this family. It's like he just pointed out the archetype of every single person and then proceeded to make fun of Mako for being
overworked
whiny.
mom, the rambunctious kids, the crazy uncle,
And
the
he's
this, the
being an
that, the
emo
other.
teenager.
And where's Mako? He's the emo teenager, sleeping under his desk at the police station because he cannot get over himself and share a house with his ex-girlfriend. Either of them.
That sounds reasonable.
When you, yeah, I mean,
No, not really.
I can kind of see where he's coming from a little bit, but
He can't share an island with his ex-girlfriend.
Well, I mean, later on when we see him, like, actually try to talk to both Korra and when Korra and Asami are right there, he's just the most, like, awkward.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's reasonable. It's reasonable, but
He's dumb.
And a
he's just
teenager.
dumb.
He's a teenager.
He's just dumb.
Yeah, but speaking of Mako, like, we get to see him sleeping under his desk responding to a call about some man airbending and...
Well, we've skipped a couple things.
Okay.
For one, I'd like to go back to the scene talking with the president, because the other thing we learn there is that Korra is actually concerned with her poll numbers, 8% approval, what is peer pressure, and we learn that she and Asami are friends, which isn't really something we've seen a lot of emphasis on in the past 2 seasons, and is something that this series has sorely needed. So it's nice to see that. And then at the dinner scene, we actually do see Boomy airbending after a point, when Milo throws a plate at his face.
Right.
But I thought the other thing that was nice too is the way that she connected on it. They both knew that Asami had kissed Mako and vice versa when, you know, Asami was dating him and now all of a sudden, but they're like totally okay with it. And, you know, their friendship means more than just like boy drama, which is very nice because I feel like it gives a sense of maturity to these 2 girl teenage characters that normally you wouldn't see in teenage girl characters.
Right.
So that's nice.
The problem is Mako. Everyone else can get over it. I don't actually dislike him. I just think this is hilarious.
It is well deserved, everything that's coming his way.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is.
But I do think going back to like we obviously know that apparently the theme of the season is going to be changes. Okay, Boomy starts airbending. Well, he's Aang's son. You know, harmonic convergence was supposed to bring
Makes
changes.
sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Now we have some random man named Da, who is now an airbender.
And going on a freak rampage throughout the city because he's like, I'm sorry. He keeps ruining everything. It's so funny.
Just kicks a door in Mako's face, though.
I'm sorry, runs away.
Well, if he's freaking out and he has these new powers that he can't control that are somewhat tied to emotions.
No.
Yeah, that is a thing that happens.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know, but it's funny because he
Oh,
seems
it's
to be the
hilarious.
only person. When we find out and discover there are more later on in the episode, which we will get into, he really only seems to be the only person who's having trouble with his emotions linked to making stuff happen. So, well, again, one of those comedic humor things.
Yeah.
Well, true, but I also think that when we first see him, he's only just discovered it. It's only just happened. He's losing his noise because, oh my God. By the time we start running into the other characters who have gotten this power, they've had a few days, a few weeks, some span of time to kind of get used to the idea.
Can we go to the scene, though, where basically Bolin kind of calls out Mako, like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? Bro, what are you doing? Like, and then Mako's just like, I have to be there. I have to do this. I have to do that. And I guess I'm trying to think if I skipped ahead too much. If this is the scene.
A little, yeah.
This is like the end of the
skipped
episode.
some things. we are playing hopscotch with this episode.
I guess, we're going back around, so we have these new changes coming our way, and then we have this nice scene with Tenzin and his family, Tenzin just staring off at the statue of Aang, which
getting emotional.
has somehow been rebuilt since the disaster that was the end of last season. That was,
You know that Zuko did that. You know that someone got on that and was like, no, we have to rebuild that statue. But there are other relief efforts. We have to rebuild the statue. Trust me on this.
Well, there's also earthbenders. I mean,
Well, yeah, that's
it's
what I was
not
gonna
going
say.
to take
It's
that
like-
long to rebuild something.
like a day.
Yeah. So.
So just in that scene of him talking with his father about, it's happening, your people are coming back, our people are coming back, and he has this wide-eyed, I'd say, like, very naive hope, and as we're going to see just how naive that is later, that suddenly the air nomads are returning, but Tenzin's idea is that they're going to return to what they were before the 100-Year War.
Exactly, which is very, I mean, and as we get into it a little as they're traveling, it's like, you have to understand that just because this is new, these people still came from lives,
Yeah.
But that's skipping ahead again.
Yeah, but for now,
Next
it's
episode.
Tenzin thinking about there's going to be more people. We're going to rebuild the Air Nation.
And
We're
it's-
not going to have to do it just from my family. We'll have a culture rebuilt.
And it's very nice too, the little moment that he has with the kids, like, we'll help you, Daddy. And it's just like,
Yeah.
oh,
I almost cried.
yeah.
It's very, very good emotional resonance. I'm just proud of Book 3. Book 3 is really doing well so far.
Yeah.
Knock wood.
That's not
That
wood,
ain't
no.
wood.
All right.
Close enough.
I think I just cursed myself well, so after we get, Tenzin's little hope scene, we have the I guess sisterly bonding scene, the gal pal
Yes.
scene between Korra and Asami, where we actually see these two.
That's the part I said before. I'm sorry, I'm a little out of order because I think I rewatched it, and the last episode, the second chapter is more like in my head.
We get to it. Why not?
They're excited.
They're basically going to go out driving, and Asami hands Korra the keys. Time for you to learn.
Yeah.
Korra cannot drive stick.
No.
Korra cannot drive stick.
Stick is hard the first time. It's that first gear in reverse. It's like once you get used to one, the other one's hard. But so they have that whole scenario recap. Sorry, skipped ahead. And it's just like, again, I said, it's very nice to know that, you have two teenage girls and you're not always going with the stigma of what normally two teenage girls would be like fighting or acting like.
Right.
They have a very mature sense about it because their friendship is more valuable than drama. So,
Yeah.
and
yet
then
we-
she almost crashes into a vine.
And yet we
Yeah.
still don't quite pass the Bechdel test because they were talking about Mako the entire time. So,
Right.
well,
We'll see.
Well, I don't know.
Close enough.
The fact that they had this scene at all and were able to have this conversation and not have it dissolve into tears or anger or any of the other stereotypical this is what we think girls talk about stuff, that's good. That's good.
But then moving forward, so they crash into this vine, and
Almost.
I guess almost. And so we finally get like spirits are supposedly living with the humans of Republic City, and this is like the first time we get to see like a major spirit, this hedgehog acorn spirit. I
Yeah.
don't.
It was
I call it
adorable.
Sandshrew spirit.
It was
Yeah.
disgruntled, but it was adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it basically tells them, why do you have to be here? Why do you have to sell the vines here? Are you going to go somewhere? Like, why do you have to set it right in the middle of the street? Because he's basically yelling like, hey, you almost crashed into my house. And she's like, well, you're in the middle of the street. And to which he says, she meant to come out with the vines. And she's like, vines, spirits, it's basically the same thing. You're the avatar. You should know that.
Everyone's critical of Korra, even the
Yes.
spirits.
Yes. And then that's when she gets an idea.
It was definitely, I got to give her credit. Like, if this was the old Korra from seasons 1 and 2,
She
when
would
she
have
would
punched
try,
it in the face.
well, not she would have punched in
tried.
the face. She would have just been like, "All right, let me do this over the entire city. This will work." Instead, she finds just a building, and she decides she's going to use Unalaq's spirit cleansing technique, which I'm actually not quite sure is actually a good thing, considering that you're kind of imposing your own will onto spirits.
Oh,
Yeah.
But also, going back, because I think that was a little before it, too, there's a lot of jumping in this
Yeah.
series. There is that whole scene where she's so frustrated trying to figure out exactly what to do. She's meditating. To which, Tenzin's just like, you must be at your
Well, that's going to come right
I
after
think that's
this.
later, actually.
No, this is right after this scene where she tries
And it
to
fails.
do the spirit cleansing, and at first it looks like it works.
Yeah.
And of course President Raiko shows up with just a whole cadre of press, just wanting to rub her nose into her own failures.
I heard you had an idea, so I thought you might want everyone to know. So he brings the press. It's like, wow, that was a classy move, bro. Classy move.
Yeah, and then she's basically like, I need everybody to shut up because I don't know if this is going to work yet. And then it does seem to work at first, but then it actually made it worse.
Yeah,
The vines
violently.
resurge, take over the building that they were on, and then take over a building that had previously been vine-free and occupied right across the waterway. So there's a very tense scene where they're trying to evacuate all the people from this building that is starting to collapse. So this has obviously an idea that not only did not work, but massively backfired.
Which I got to give her credit for at least testing it out. She still just went straight ahead with the idea in her classic Korra fashion, but she stopped to think it through just a little bit, which is character growth. We're actually seeing some genuine character growth in Korra from one season to another, which is nice. And then of course, going on, Tenzin and her have that scene, which is basically the synopsis of here's the theme of this season. And it's, as he explains, it's changed. Some people are going to like it, some people aren't. Some of it's going to be good, some of it's going to be bad. And we're going to see the bad at the very end of this episode, but we'll wait to get to that before we get to the bold-faced bad, because right now we're looking at the good. And what the good is that there are more airbenders, and one of them is apparently suicidal on Kyoshi Bridge.
Which Mullen runs up. I think I'm interrupting one of those mentor-student sessions or meditating thing, but you need to know that. It's like, yeah, we found the airbender, and he's at the top of Kyoshi Bridge, and he's not doing so hot.
But
Cut to
Da on top of the bridge, just yelling at everybody to get away, and Beifong just sending guys up there to do something about it, and that's just...
Probably to grab him and bring him down.
Right.
Because it's a
Also-
metal bridge and they're metal benders. They should be okay.
Yeah, but it's also interesting to me because going back to what Katie was saying, but he's emotional. Yeah, I'm sure emotions are very much involved in any sort of airbending, but as we've figured from the original series with Aang and even this series, I would be surprised more that his emotions had so much to do with his airbending, because normally the emotions are more, or anger and confusion, that's more firebending. I would imagine that would conflict more with firebending because it comes from a certain place of usually rage or confusion, and that's what we learned previously. So I'm surprised he was causing so much chaos
But
as
it's
an
still
airbender.
a power he cannot control.
Yes,
That's true.
But yeah, so she goes on up and talks to him about a little bit bro, stop, get off the bridge. We need to
Korra-
calm down.
She flies up and lands next to him and starts talking about, rough day, huh? Well, I've had a pretty rough day too. Things are changing, but we kind of got to face it. It'll get better. I know someone who'd be more than happy to meet you and help you out with this airbending thing. Why don't you come with me and we can go talk to him? Okay.
And then he does and kind of falls, but Korra catches him anyway, and then everybody is happy except for President Tight Pants.
Is that what we're calling him now?
I'm calling him
Yes.
President
We're calling
Tight
him
Pants.
President Tight Pants.
But I was actually very happy when that scene happened where he's get the hell out of the city, basically. Nobody wants you here. You're not doing us any good. And she's just fine. And she's flustered at this point because she's been trying so desperately hard to get on the favor of the good people. But it made me excited because I'm just bored of Republic City. I want to see what the rest of the world looks like. I want to see what has changed. And then finally it took to the third book. It's okay, good. Granted, we did see the water tribes and everything in the last season. But, I want to see more of the changes that the world has made since Aang has died and, there's a new avatar. So it's nice to know that we're going to be getting away from that a little bit.
Yeah, and Korra straight up told them, look, the vines are new. They're here to stay. Get used to it. This is one of the changes that is happening. And that's what kind of triggered the, no, you're trouble, get out.
Well, I think it's going back to what Tenzin said. That's you're the avatar. You have to make decisions on a global scale.
Yes.
No matter what you do, somebody is going to be unhappy about it. You can't just think...
You can't please everybody.
Yeah, and you can't just think, oh, what is good for Republic City? You have to think of what is good for everyone, not only just people, but now she has spirits.
Yeah, you shouldn't
Right.
worry about the ratings of what one city thinks. It's not your job. You're not in politics, basically, is what he was saying. It's like you're not politics. You are the bridge between two worlds, which are now one world.
Right.
So start working on that. And I am very sad, again, going back to that one scene when she was trying to meditate. Again, I forgot until I watched this episode that she now doesn't have a link to her past avatar forms.
Oh, yeah.
And I need to rewatch the last episode from season 2 just to remind myself a little bit. But I did, refresh a little bit of memory. And I'm like, oh, yeah, shoot. Like, that makes me so sad because I was sad when you find out, like, Aang's dead. But you're like, Aang's not dead. You're the reincarnation. He's in there. And now he's not.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's a fresh start. We hit F5 on this, and now you got nothing back there. We cleared the cache.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think it leaves more room for growth because, like,
Yeah.
Aang always, and even in the previous season, she always had that, like, sonic screwdriver of, oh, I can just ask people from the past and they'll give me all the answers.
Sonic
But now she has to, like, figure it out for herself, and changes.
Damn good analogy.
It doesn't
5
do
nerd
wood.
points.
Yeah.
Clearing the cache wasn't good enough for you?
Nope. Gotta go with sonic screwdriver.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
I said nerd points, not geek points. I guess you can have 2 geek points. There you go.
Yay!
Hey, I don't give those out that often. So
Yay!
So moving on.
yeah. So moving on.
Now that we've established the point system for this AfterBuzz,
So
AfterBuzz, where the points don't matter.
and everything's made up.
Yes.
entirely. So now we see them now preparing to leave Republic City, and Kaya, Iki, Milo, and Pema are going to be staying on Airbender Island, and moving forward. And so
Probably with the new Airbender, too.
yeah, with Da. And then we see, like, this was kind of interesting in that scene that they had, when they were showing the map, they said, oh, we have reports all around the Earth Kingdom, but none from the Fire Nation or any of the Water Tribes. Like, that...
I think that's just the first place they were focusing on and the first place they were
Earth
going.
Nation.
Yeah,
It's
that's-
easier for them to get to them first. So
Right.
one
Yeah.
step at a time. But basically, so they head out on this adventure, and
In their awesome airship that
Yeah.
Asami made. What up? She basically made them a flying Porsche.
yeah.
This thing is awesome.
So we get to the end of the good changes, now we get the bad changes, and we get introduced to this really menacing villain by the name of Zaheer, voiced by Henry Rollins,
So
Black
awesome.
Flint's
Yeah.
own
Yes.
Henry Rollins. I don't know how they got him to do this. I'm guessing it was just like, I need to do something that my kids can watch. And
Well, it
Going
got Johnny
back
Depp to
really
do pirate
quick,
movies.
we did the scene already with Bolin and I always want to call him Zuko.
Mako.
Mako.
Yeah.
Well,
Where he's like, but you have to go on this adventure with us, though. You have to, because we're going to go to the Earth Kingdom. We find out where Dad came from. And what if we
Yes.
meet Grandma? And she's all, oh, where's Mako? Where's Mako? Oh, no, he's not here. Oh, I'm going to die. I can't take. And then she's dead. Like, it's just, he is my favorite, and continually will be my favorite, like, comedy relief for the entire season. But it's so beautifully done. It's never done where it shouldn't be. It's perfect.
yeah, Bolin is a glorious human being and probably the only person who could convince Mako to come on this because
Right.
Asami and Korra are still too busy taking the mickey out of him.
Yes,
I can't blame him for that.
But then we have this introduction to Zaheer, who's being held captive by the
White Lotus.
By the White Lotus in this like over elaborate cell. He's like way up in the air, and he's
It's like Magneto,
Which is kind
where
of
they stick him in a
interesting.
plastic cell. They had to stick this guy in the middle of nowhere.
and he's not a bender either.
Yeah, that's the thing that's very interesting to me is that he wasn't a bender when they stuck him here. So I wonder, but he obviously is very skilled. I mean, he already almost seems professional at airbending once he escapes.
He mastered it immediately.
Just thinking, I think that he might have been an air acolyte that just kind of, because he has all of the hallmarks of a zealot, and he has like a genuine knowledge of the air nomad philosophy and tradition. Like he quotes the Guru Lahima and he talks about that, and he talks in such a way that is like very, very reverent and very knowing. And then he immediately, as you said, like he just knows how to airbend almost in like a master's level.
Yeah.
Right.
And then basically, so it goes on to this whole thing because we still got another episode to hit, but we goes into this thing where now he goes and he's trying to get out his friends. We still don't know what these guys were locked up for, but we just know that they're bad news.
And they want the Avatar.
And they want the Avatar. So he winds up then saving Gazan.
I think this is going into the next episode.
This is going into
the next
Rebirth.
episode.
But he does free two of his other compatriots.
Oh yeah,
but
and that's when he kind of disappears into the clouds and bounces down the mountain.
Right.
And then it goes into the next. I watched the episode where it was like back to back, so it was kind of hard to, except for that one chapter page.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have them actually leaving Republic City, and it's just gonna have to say, Tenzin's recruitment pitch really sucks.
Yeah.
He's been so steeped in this culture that he doesn't know how to sell it. So the first people they come across is this farmer in this tiny little city, just this tiny little town.
With a family.
And they're with, what is it, the mayor of the town, the head honcho, whoever, whoever runs this tiny little corner of just about nowhere. And it's Team Korra on one side of the table and him at the head. And this farmer and his family, his wife and his 2 or 3 small children, they're adorable, on the other side. Oh, yeah, it was really surprising when I got this airbending, but it was pretty nice. You know, it's cool. And Tenzin's like, great, you're coming with us. No, I'm not. I have a family here. I'm not going anywhere.
Which is the central problem of Tenzin is blind to all of that. He just thinks everyone's going to join up, and it's like, throw your old life away, become an Arab nomad, and
they're like,
very,
no.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Leave my family and my kids and
then the little kid going, Mommy, why does the bald man want to take Daddy away? It's like, oh, no, we are done. That is not going to happen.
Which led to one of the funniest little infograph things that we've seen as they start on their trek with Tenzin saying all of his little pitches, and as it goes along, just the faces get sadder and sadder.
I feel like it's the map from Emperor's New Groove where it just has the silhouettes traveling to the different places. That's kind of what this is. It has all their little faces on this cute little boat just traveling.
Then what they do is they have, basically one of my favorites is you can tell based on each person why his pitch was so bad. Although I agree with him, I really thought the flying bison would really gut them. Who doesn't want a flying bison as their best friend? And I was like, I do. But then the one
So did Boomy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the incredibly fashionable woman, he's like, you're gonna love our ancient robes. The material's so breathable. Slam. So it was really, again, the show really balances out well with actually not going off topic too much with their comedy. So.
Right.
But you're right, he's absolutely blind to kind of the real world and how they would see this culture that he wants to recreate.
Oh, man.
As much as he's saying that change is a thing, he's not willing to adapt these particular traditions.
Yes, and I'm sad because I just realized we forgot the cute little funny line with why the family was still left back to help any airbenders that were still near Republic City. We have Milo who's like, those maggots will bow to me.
Be nice to them, son.
Right.
Yes, but so basically they're not having much luck at all, and then that's when Korra's like, you know what, your thing isn't working. I'm going to try this time.
And in which we get introduced to Ryu, who I think has to be the show's creators kind of making fun of all of the people that just nitpick away at them.
Right.
Well, and it's also a takeoff on it's my deadbeat son who came back home after college and he's getting his life together, but he hasn't done anything with it. So,
Right.
He's
it's
still
basically
figuring it out, but it's
Millennial
just
it's the
Airbender.
adult child living in the basement who doesn't want to get a job. It's not the millennial, it's the stereotypical perception of the millennial.
Right.
And I have to make that distinction. I do.
But Korra tries to give him some tough love, and it's just the most
Whatever.
pissy passive aggressive thing in the world. Is like, so you're the Avatar, big deal. It's like, oh well, this is obviously not gonna go anywhere, and it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're having problems recruiting people, but guess who isn't? Zaheer.
Yes.
Zaheer is having a grand old time recruiting his next guy, Gazan.
In a completely wooden prison in the middle of the sea. Because guess who's an earthbender?
And apparently we now discover magma bending, which I
was very confused by that.
I thought that would have been like an Avatar-only ability, because that seems like mixing earth and fire together.
Not really. You superheat the rock by moving it real fast.
That's true.
And it melts.
I mean, if the waterbenders can turn the water to ice, why not the other direction?
If the waterbenders
Earth?
can blood bend.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where as long as there is some form of rock, I think it's the same thing with metal, the different components. They're just becoming more clever with what actually each airbending can do now. So,
Right.
and the elevation of it. So,
Yeah.
So after what is an awesome fight scene, after we get that, then we see him breaking out Ming Hua, which is yet again another one of these overly elaborate prisons where
In a volcano.
we have an armless waterbender.
she is armless.
Yeah,
That's
she
what I
doesn't
thought.
have arms.
Because I was looking, I was like, where's her arms? Where's her arms? And then she had water. And I'm
Not
like,
there.
Okay. So I didn't know until later on. And there's more episodes that come later when I more realized it. But I thought that was so clever. And it's interesting, too, because normally you do need all your limbs to bend. You know, it's emotion and movement and stuff. So the fact that this person has mastered this element in which you normally need your arms is really, really cool.
Right.
Yeah, and she uses the water as arms, climbs out, fights with them. It's pretty ridiculous. So obviously these three are incredibly ridiculously talented at what they do.
Right.
Even the guy who only just learned.
But they're evil.
Yeah.
But they're evil. Well, of course.
And then obviously we have a fourth member who is going to have fire abilities. So
And
she's
who is supposedly Zaheer's girlfriend.
I think it's called Pei Li, is I think what her name is.
I don't know.
We'll find out next
Yeah.
episode.
Yes, we probably will.
But back to Team Avatar and their recruitment train. They decide that they're going to put on a sideshow because literally we've tried everything else, guys.
Why not make it fancy?
No other sales pitch has worked. Let's turn to Bolin, who has the most raw charisma of pretty much anyone on this boat, and let him run the show.
Yeah, and it works, and it's pretty fun. And you have it's the giant mustache on Bolin.
the big.
And then Tenzin, who is fit as all hell, he's like 40 something, but
Have you ever
man,
seen a fat bender? I mean, really? I
Well,
mean, except for
I've
like
seen-
that one farmer dude who just got his air powers, but
Some of the swamp benders, I'd
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
are pretty big.
But you've never seen a fat airbender. I can't remember any of
Yeah,
that.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
movement.
And that
it's
all,
a lot of movement.
And that all vegetarian diet.
Then again, we haven't seen many airbenders at all.
That's true.
I've seen enough in flashbacks that I think we would get the gist of it.
Yeah, monks, all vegetarian diet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in this scene, we meet Kai, the street urchin, who, tells this like nice little sob story to just like sell it. And I do like.
Bandits killed my parents, and now they've been following me ever since, and I just want to get away from them. I want to go with you. And surprise, surprise, he has airbending.
Yeah. Not only does he have airbending, but he also has a sack of gold that is
Yes.
not his.
Yeah.
And then we come to find out after they tried to defend him from these people saying, you need to leave him alone, you thieves. And they're like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm in charge of this. I'm the sheriff. These are my deputies.
They're all in uniform, and he's got a little gold badge. It's like, where have I seen this before? Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they're just trying to go after him. And then, not Bolin, but
Mako.
grabs him and finds out, hey, I caught him trying to run away. No, I'm just trying to pee. And then,
With your bag of stolen gold?
so
Well, how do you go to the restroom? I mean, that's
I go with my
Yeah.
stolen
Not like
gold.
that.
Yeah.
I keep it in the restroom so I don't have to take it around.
Well, which is kind of interesting that they're essentially freeing him, because if you remember back in the first series, Iroh had talked about that air is supposed to be the element of freedom. They essentially free him from incarceration in order for him to become.
And his possessions.
But they
And
do
his
give the gold back,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
And of course, Jinora likes the bad boys because
Yes. But it's also very interesting, too, that they basically, I thought that they were going to throw a kid in jail instead of going back to the orphanage. So that was a big thing, too. And also struck very much with Bolin, who wants to be like his big brother because, hey, well, he is an orphan. Regardless that he lied the first time around, he is actually an orphan.
Right.
So, we have him joining the gang now, and it's off to Bossing Say.
Bolin wants to adopt him, Jinora wants to date him, and Mako's just, I'm watching you.
Did that just seem to be like, I know he was trying to be intense in that moment, kind of like what Katara did with Zuko when he first joined up, but with Mako, it just seemed a little like a little lame. It seemed a little bit like, all right, I'm going into cop mode right now.
Well,
he spent half the episode in cop mode because he still doesn't know how to talk to his exes.
That's very true.
Hilarious.
And he also, I think he mentioned, it might have been, I think he mentioned something about, well, he reminds me of me. Like, I mean, you have to remember that Bolin and Mako were also homeless and probably had to do a lot of thieving themselves to live. So he probably just knows all this kid's tricks. And he's like, so I know, I've already been there, I'm watching you.
Yeah.
So.
And with the Katara, it was more of like, you know, Zuko had been trying to kill them, but this is still a kid. You know?
Yeah, that is true. I guess I have to put that in perspective. But speaking of Zuko, we round out this episode with one of the greatest OMG moments they could drop. Zuko is back.
Yes.
And entirely angry that Minghua is now busted out of prison.
Yes.
And drops the information any one of them on their own could take down a bender. Together, they could take pretty much anything.
Yeah. And
he's riding a dragon. Where did he get the dragon?
I don't know.
There
That's
were
the
only
other
two
thing.
left.
Well, that's the same thing
Where
as
did
the
they
air
come from?
bisons. You know, we don't know all of a sudden. I think they mentioned in an episode prior back, like, oh, well, you know, we found a hidden herd of them. And look, where the hell were they for the entire 100 years? Like, no one came across these bisons. But I'd rather, you know what? It's fine.
Well, at least we know there were 2 dragons left, so we can make the necessary assumptions.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
He's riding a dragon. This is amazing.
also,
That was my favorite part of the episode, watching him fly away on that dragon going, dang, sir.
Rewinding it.
Yeah.
I want to see that again.
It
I want
is
to see that
sad.
again.
It is sad. It is sad though to consider that Dante Brasco is not still voicing him, but of course he's voicing Zuko's grandson at least in this series.
Yeah.
But we have a new voice actor for Zuko, Bruce Davison, who you might remember as Senator Kelly from the first 2 X-Men movie. So. That's, you know, I can deal with that change. We only got a little bit of this.
I'm more than sure if you talk to your grandparents or somebody, they don't sound, especially the men, they're not going to sound exactly the same as they did when they were like, you know, what, 17 Zuko was, 18?
Yeah, I don't think Dante Bosco would be able to pull that off.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm pleasantly fine with it. Come on, Rufio!
Yes.
And they have, I'm like, well, he's still in the series, so it's fine. I would just be mad if they didn't have that voice actor at all.
But then let's just go with a bit of final thoughts. Legend of Korra has been a little bit of contentious,
rocky.
But first season started strong, and some people say ended a little weak. Second season was a little up and down, but this third season, book 3, is shaping up to be the best. It has definitely been a good build.
Yeah.
So
And
It's a strong start.
And I've already seen the episodes that have aired, so I have not been displeased with any one of those episodes. So I'm definitely excited to see what happens. So
I've only seen these 2, and I'm going to go through this week to week unspoiled. So commenters, please don't put any spoilers in the comments. You will make me very sad.
there you go.
and they're gonna do it anyway. Well,
They've been really good for Sword Art Online.
That's true.
They're really good at not spoiling people, so please keep it up. I like our commenters.
Well, I believe that wraps us up for this week. Continue on with us. I believe every week we're going to be doing 2 episodes at a time, like the current show is doing as well. So tune in next week for episode 3 or 4. 3 and 4? Yes, that's correct.
3 and 4.
And I guess we will see you guys.
Well, where can we
next
find
time.
you?
Well, where can we find me?
Yeah,
Where can we find you?
Where can anybody find us?
Aside from in that scene, but
I am John Quick. You can find me at @NowQuick on Twitter.
You can find me on Twitter at TauriJ, that's TauriJay. You can also catch me on the Dominion panel on Thursdays, Extant on Wednesdays, and also the Sword Art Online on Sundays.
Hey guys, I'm Liz Rishmawy. You can find me at Lizzie Maui on Twitter and Instagram at LIZZYMAWY. You can also check me out on the Musketeers panel later on tonight, as well as Sword Art Online and also Dominion on Thursdays with Tauri.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter and Tumblr at Kiaxet. That's KIAXET. You can also find me on the Attack on Titan and Sword Art Online panels on Sunday and the upcoming Ruby panel. We're doing a special episode this Monday night. I will not be in this panel next week because San Diego Comic-Con.
Boo. I mean, yay. But boo to you not being here.
I'm going to have a good time.
Well, enjoy. See you guys later.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.